Alright, we're going to get over to the questions now. A few people asked about my story at the table earlier. I am doing my prison story here on Tuesday night actually, at the same time, through Fonzing. I'm also doing another talk here on Monday night. I've done 2 TED Talks, and it's more like a self-help talk. It's like the 10 most important lessons I learned that enabled me to get off the drugs and get back on track and be successful. And I'm doing that one on Monday night. So if you want to have nightmares and be harrowed, the Tuesday night talk is the prison talk, which is going to be extremely graphic, building right up to the prison gang rape and beheading story at the end. Alright, so who would like to be the first person to ask a question then? Does anyone got anything? Yes?
So obviously the war on drugs hasn't worked and doesn't work. Do you think just decriminalising is the way, or actually legalising and regulating is the way forward?
Okay. The money that Pablo and these gangsters get is through this black market that gets bigger every year. And they estimate it's up to $500 billion to $1 trillion right now. If the government took over the drugs market, that would all be revenue to the government. Now people say, decriminalise drugs. What kind of an example does that set to the kids? Well, in Portugal, they had over 100,000 heroin addicts. And they were like, we've got to try something different, this isn't working. So they said they were going to decriminalise heroin. And the police said, there'll be heroin addicts all over the streets. The kids will be doing it. Everything's going to get completely out of control. And what happened was the heroin addicts were no longer afraid to come forward to the authorities. They got them referred over to mental health. And Portugal's got its heroin addicts down under 50,000 now. But any time this stuff happens, the Portuguese philosophy actually came from my hometown, Widnes. This experiment was tried in Widnes in the late 80s, where they gave medicinal grade heroin free to the heroin addicts to see what happened. Crime collapsed, and the heroin addicts weren't sharing dirty needle and getting AIDS. The shopkeepers were so happy there was no more shoplifting, they were going to roll it out all across the entire country. And it was making news headlines. The DEA found out. One call to Downing Street and that program was closed down, but it was Portugal that picked it up. The budget for the DEA is multi-billions per year. They have a vested interest in that balloon expanding. They've got offices all over the world. It's a never-ending war that they can spend money on for the military and all these other things that American foreign policy has got going on around the world. So they'd have to completely legalise it and hand it over to the government to get the money away from the gangsters. Decriminalising is the first step. It's more palatable for the public. Because a lot of the older generation think, you know, if drugs are illegal, that's how it's a clear message to the kids not to do it. It's not the case. In America, kids are saying it's easy for us to get heroin than it is alcohol, because the drug gangs will sell it to us all day long. Yeah, so you've got to take it out of the hands of the gangsters. And I'm a member of law enforcement against prohibition, and that's mostly police and prosecutors and judges. And they say, we joined the police to arrest paedophiles, murderers, rapists. And what was I assigned to do? Infiltrate a student group, get them smoking weed, and then criminalise that person, and they can't get a job, and it's messed up for the rest of life. So the war on drugs has not been a war on the Pablo Escobars. It cost hundreds of millions to take Pablo down. The easiest people to arrest are kids on drugs. And these private prisons get $50,000 a year of taxpayers' money per kid. They tried to build the biggest kids' prison in the Western world in this country last year. The prison was going to get £60,000 to £70,000 per kid. They reckon they could fill it up all day long because half of young people experiment with drugs. Yeah. It went to House of Lords, and one of the Lords said, you want us to build the biggest kids' prison in the Western world. Is this something that this country is going to be proud of? And they shut it down. But those political and corporate interests are still trying to push that stuff through. Yeah. All right, next question, please. Yeah.
We just watched the Tom Cruise film the other day.
Oh, did you?
It's brilliant, yeah.
Yeah.
Was that, first question is, was that, am I correct that you just said that was based on your book?
No, my book's based on the movie. It's the true story, not the movie story, because the movie story is like, Narcos is the DEA perspective.
Yeah.
This is a whitewash as well. I'm in touch with Barry Seal's son, And he said, my book is the only book out there that's saying the true picture of what really happened.
So the question about the film,
Yeah.
you know, like, all from the start all the way through, we'd see him in that hotel room shooting all those videotapes. I don't want to spoil the film in case someone hasn't seen it.
Yeah.
We know about the film. Do those videotapes exist? Because there was that suspicious. So they don't.
Videotapes did exist, but not then. Barry Seal. I'll just give a little bit of an explanation so people know what's going on. Okay, Barry Seal, he was in the Narcos season. It showed Barry Seal flying loads over from the Medellin cartel to Florida, and the DEA busted it. And Barry Seal enabled them to film Pablo carrying some cocaine onto his plane. And Ronald Reagan went on TV and said this proves Nicaraguans involved in trafficking cocaine and all this kind of propaganda. But what actually Barry Seal said he had was videos, surveillance videos, of Bush's kids doing a drug deal. They'd flown into some island on this airplane, and he said he had surveillance videos of them doing a drug deal. And when he got shot by those Colombians, and the Colombians could only kill him because a federal judge had ordered him to stay in a halfway house, he wasn't allowed weapons. They handed him over to the Colombians on a plate. They wanted to get him out of the picture because he knew so much about George H.W. Bush, he was mouthing off about it. So he said he had videos of the Bush kids involved in a drug deal. They were involved in all kinds of shady stuff in Panama with the CIA and all this stuff that was going on. So it wouldn't surprise me if it was true. It was Bush really that wanted him out of the way, as well as Pablo. Pablo wants him out of the way as well, but it's common interest. Yeah. When he got assassinated, the state police had the area cordoned off, and then the feds came in miraculously, like right after he'd been assassinated, told the state police to get out of the way, and took all the video footage he supposedly had in the trunk of his car. Yeah. Okay, next question then, please. Alright. Yeah.
So how did you go from a witness to over bond and kind of to a big time, I suppose?
I think it's a level of Pablo. Okay, so as a Withnesian, I didn't grow up with much money. I used to go to visit my aunts and uncles in America. And when the plane comes in, you see the swimming pools in Arizona in the backyards, and the houses, the roads, the cars, the sunshine. So that dazzled me as a teenager. My aunt changed my date of birth in my passport so I was over 21. She took me out to nightclubs and was introducing me to people as Paul McCartney's nephew. So I'm moving out here after uni. So I went to Liverpool uni. I got interested in the stock market at a young age. At 14, I started following it. My economics teacher was explaining the Financial Times. At 16, I started trading it, borrowed 50 quid off my nan, doubled it in BT shares. So I went to America, working in the stock market. I made a couple of million, and the money went to my head. I had no emotional maturity or common sense. So I'd seen these movies, and I thought I was like going to be a character out of some movie like Blow or something like that. The Manchester rave scene had such a big impact on me. First time I did ecstasy was at the Thunderdome on Oldham Road. And I was going The Conspiracy. Not that scene as much, more like the more undergroundy kind of clubs here. And I thought, right, I'm going to transfer that scene over to the desert, over to Arizona. In the beginning, I was just throwing house parties, showing off. And I saw the business potential, got this business studies degree. So it just built from there. Gave everybody legal benefits. If they were arrested, they get bailed out, they get a lawyer assigned so they wouldn't snitch. Had monthly crime family dinner for the heads of all the factions of my organisation. There was about 20 different factions, with like 10 people working under those each. Various smuggling routes used over the years. And it got to the point where when Sammy the Bull, he moved into the scene, things got heavy then. I started to realise they smashed the teeth out of my top sales guy, and I fled from Phoenix to Tucson to $1 million house on a mountain in a gated guarded community, so those guys couldn't even get up the street, and I thought I was safe. Met a woman, fell in love, she taught me how to deal, and I quit, and I thought I got away with it. Parents will never find out. I was naive to the statute of limitations. All it takes is someone from your past to say to the police that you sold them drugs, and that's it, then they've got a witness. They don't actually need the drugs. Yeah. So there was 10 witnesses came forward, and then May 16, 2002, bang, 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 open the door. About to open it, and it just flies off the hinges. Hands above your heads, get on the ground. So we ended up in that jail that's got the highest rate of death in America, run by that sheriff. 62 people died in that jail around the time I was there. According to National Geographic Channel, we did my Bangor Road episode. And like I mentioned, some of those were mentally ill people. They weren't big bad gang members. So I said to the guard, how do you guys get away with all this? Human rights violations, dead rats in the food, cockroaches all over at night. He said the world has got no idea what's going on. So I started with a tiny little pencil sharp on the door, started writing everything down. My writing got smuggled out of the jail when I was in maximum security by my hands, very bravely. She went home, typed them up, emailed them to my family and witness, and that was how my blog, John's Jail Journal, started. And it went on to attract international media attention to the conditions in that jail. It was closed down a couple of years later. You know, and I was just a finance guy, a rave guy. I never thought I'd end up. My job now is I go in schools, scare the living daylight out of school kids with what happened to me, in the hope they won't do all the stupid stuff I did. Yeah, so. Okay, yes?
Skip first. Did you lose all of the money that you made?
When you're on drugs,
Did you try to at least?
when you're on drugs, it makes you think you're smarter than you are. But what it actually does is it scrambles your decision-making processes. So you think you're making the most brilliant decisions in your life. I flew people over from Witness. Put money in the names, thinking I was outsmarting the cops. I figured if I get arrested, you know, I can get this money, my parents get a lawyer, whatever, I want to get my parents, ask them for money. Hopefully they'll never find out, but they ended up having to find out because I lost everything. The police put a virus in my computer called the Netbus Trojan Horse. And I wasn't very tech savvy, my computer's telling me, there are others in your computer right now. I was like, what's that column, mate? What does this mean? And it was weeks after that, the SWAT team came. I should have had the heads up, my computer was warning me. So the day I was arrested, they seized absolutely everything, even my pension when I was in the stock market. Yeah. So if you're daft enough, like I was, to be wealthy and committing crimes, war on drugs is a business model, the justice system is a business model. They love targeting wealthy people so they can take absolutely everything. And I was daft enough to put myself in that situation. Yeah. Civil asset forfeiture laws in America right now, if teenage kids are driving along in a car, they get pulled over, they got some weed in the car, it's parents' car. Police get to keep your car under civil asset forfeiture laws in some of these states. Yeah. All right. Yes.
How close is the drug world to the real business world?
The drug world and the business world are symbiotic. If you look at the economy of Mexico, tens of billions coming in now because of the cocaine industry, and this was true for Colombia as well. It's not true now to the same extent. But if you look at the biggest industries in those countries, the cocaine industry is exceeding them. If you look at what that does, then it creates all these jobs, all this property gets built, and it gives a boost to the economy. They reckon Miami was built on cocaine money. Look at all the hotels down there and stuff like that. A lot of it ends up in the banking system. I think it was HSBC got fined something ridiculous, hundreds of millions or something for laundering for one of the Mexican cartels the other year. They feed off this money, it keeps the cost of capital down for Wall Street. Yeah, so, you know, they don't turn their noses up to it, it gets into the financial system.
So is there a lot learned in the drug world which is fed back into the business world?
Is there a way that the drug world feeds the money into the business world, the laundering?
In terms of the lessons they learn.
The biggest lesson is if you're a drug trafficker, buy a bank. That's what the Cali cartel did. Yeah. Was there another hand up over here? Let's see. Anyone? Any more questions? Or? Oh yeah.
Did the Aryan Brotherhood think of you? What they think of you lining yourself with Mexican cartel when you were in the maximum?
Oh, that's a good question. I've not been asked that before. Let me just see if I can get a picture of them up here. All right. So the neo-Nazi Aryan Brotherhood prison gang control the white race in the prison. And when I first went in, they come up to me, they were like, "We want a word with you, get in that cell back there." And you know you can't say no to these guys because they're just gonna smash your head into the concrete. Let's see, let's find it down. No, there they are. That's fine. Yeah, so these skinheads are like getting that cell over there. So I walk into the cell, they come in behind me, shut the door, and then the biggest one gets in my face, it's like, "What are your charges?" I'm like, "My charges on a little printout from the jail, but I don't understand what it means, because it's all in legal terminology." So I say, "I'm not sure what charges mean." Like, "What do you mean you don't know what your charges mean? Are you a chomo? Are you a chomo?" They got me up the walls, they're about to smash me. Chomo is child molester. Some charges are KOS by the gang, which means kill on sight, such as paedophile stuff. Other charges are SOS, smash on sight, like drive-by shootings, because women and kids sometimes get hit. So then they explain all the rules. If someone calls you a punk or a bitch, you've got to fight them on the spot, or else the whole gang will smash you. Must take showers, or they'll smash you for bad hygiene. Can't go make you friends with the guards, they'll smash you for snitching. Can't go sitting at the tables with other races, they'll smash you for that. And you asked about relations with the other races in my drug dealing business. When we got arrested, we were in the newspaper and had like the heads of my organisation were all in the newspaper. And they were different races. But once you go into the prison, whatever associations you have on the streets, it ends and you have to obey the rules of racial division in the prison. When you first go in at least, later on, once I knew how to play the system, I knew how to play around the guard rules and the gang rules, I was able to have friends with all races and get away with things I couldn't have got away with in the very beginning. Yeah. And some Mexicans I met in there as well were cartel workers. And like I mentioned, these guys are ex-police, ex-military. There's no difference between the government. What do these shows show the government chasing the cartel, good guys, bad guys? There's actually no difference between the two. They're both working together. You've got one cartel that's got this police force in its pocket. You've got another cartel that's got this police force in its pocket. And then you've got the police having shootouts on behalf of each cartel just to try and get more of each other's drugs turf. That's what's happening in Mexico. And then you've got all the arms coming from America. The guns that Pablo's guys were aiming at the police, and the guns that the police are aiming at the traffickers, all made in America. There's huge amounts of profits being made off the back of all of this. So, the guy on the right, he was getting escorted to medical one day, snatched the guard's gun, shot him dead and escaped. Didn't get very far, he was actually rearrested at a local McDonald's. Straight to McDonald's. That's a full Early Brotherhood membership on his neck. To earn that one, be a full member, you've got to murder someone for the gang. Who knows what the teardrops mean?
Dead bodies.
Kill someone, you said it as well. I'll give you both a free book for answering that. There you go. There you go. Another free book, if anyone can tell me what a clear teardrop means, outline.
One of the friends has been killed.
Yeah, well done. Sorrow for the loss of a fellow gang member. And the preferred method to kill you is with a shank. They strip metal from all over the place and you hear them at night shouting into knives.
That's not very sharp, is it?
They even make shanks out of paper. They funnel them up and then they get a needle on the end and they go right for the heart, through the chest plate here, and just try and get it right in the heart. It's a one-hit deal. That's what the guy told me. Yep.
From Howard Marks, Barry Seal, loads of these things, they always seem to be like the CIA. The DEA seem to be chasing them, and the CIA seem to be facilitating at some level.
Yeah.
To get too conspiratorial about it.
Yeah.
But it seems like vast amounts of money being, the Barry Sale film summed it quite this conflicting interest, right? I was wondering if you had any thoughts on that, and it just seems so stupid that two huge agencies within America, one's facilitating the drug dealers, the other's trying to catch them.
It sounds illogical, but both sides are making money off it, and that's the motivation. So when the Cold War ended, the priority in Central and South America was containing communism.
Yeah.
And that was the CIA didn't want the communists getting control of the cocaine. So if you were a paramilitary, if you were the Castagno brothers, for example, and you're paramilitary, and you're working with the police and the government, you're allowed to continue your cocaine business. Because what Narcos didn't explain was, when the DEA went after the Cali cartel, they didn't go after the Castagno brothers. The Castagno brothers took over Pablo's cocaine infrastructure as well. But because they were killing guerrillas, they were allowed to continue for years and years and years. Whereas the Cali cartel was the enemy in the war on drugs. Because they need a bogeyman to keep the war going. But the Castagnos have given a pass.
So the CIA are more powerful than the DEA?
Yeah.
The DEA, like, it's like
The CIA override every single other federal government agency.
So it's like everyone's look over here, we're chasing the drug dealers while the CIA are managing communists or whatever.
There's a book called The Big White Lie by Mike Levi. He was an undercover DEA agent in Central and South America. Every time he tried to arrest someone big, the CIA came in and said, you can't do that, it's in the interest of national security. Now, he kept quiet about all this for years, and then his brother died because of drugs, and his son died because of drugs. He said, I've lost everybody, I don't care anymore, I'm going to speak out about it. And he did some TV appearances and wrote this book. And he talks about how the whole war on drugs is a complete charade by the US government. It's all about spreading arms around and fomenting war and making money off the back of it. Okay, any more questions? We're almost getting to 9:30. Anyone else got anything?
I've got one.
Yeah, go for it.
I think it's American Desperado, the book by the biography of one of the cocaine cowboys.
Yeah.
The guy from New York, his uncle was in Puerto Rico. So I steeped in it from the start, and he had another pilot, and they were flying all the drugs into Miami. Did you ever know anything about that side of it?
One of my friends in prison was one of the pilots, and he's in that book. And he was flying drugs in for the cartels as well, but he got busted. And he's the one who woke me up to all this stuff about how the Mexican government and the Mexican cartels are just completely working together. And if you look at, from the 1980s, the Prime Minister of Mexico, when they took over the cartel and they put the Godfather in prison, that Mexican president ended up moving to Ireland with $500 million. And he lives, I think he still lives there to this day. All from drug money. Yeah. So, yeah, go on.
Are you now selling non-grants in the States?
I'm banned from America for life. The only way I can get in is if I get a presidential pardon.
Are you bothered?
So if anyone knows Donald Trump, I'm putting a good word. Yeah, I'm not so bothered, no.
So when you left prison, that's when you had your instant ban. So they keep you in prison there and then they ban you.
Yeah, you've got to serve the time in the jurisdiction in which you commit your crime. So in America, your sentence is determined by how much money you've got and who your lawyer is. My parents remortgaged the house a couple of $100,000, and that's how I managed to get my sentence down from, I was looking at maximum 200 years down to 9.5. As a first-time non-violent drug offender, I served just under 6. Yeah.
You didn't have to stay in the States for like a parole period or?
No, because I agreed to a lifelong ban. That was one of the ways I managed to get my sentence down a little bit.
Did your mum tell you off?
Yeah. My mum had a nervous breakdown over the whole thing. Yeah. It's detailed in the book. Yeah, so that's, people say, Shaun, you live this wild and crazy life, is there anything you would change? As well as regretting putting people on that road of drug use that causes so much harm, the harm I caused my family as well. I still see the hurt and pain on my mum's face. Yeah, it makes me sick to my stomach. Hand over there, yeah?
If you hadn't took the lifelong ban, how long would you have to have served then?
If I hadn't got a lifelong ban?
Well, you said like, because I took the life, so did you have a choice? You could take a lifelong ban and do a lesser sentence?
Exactly.
Or you wanted to go back into the States said you would have just served the longest?
I just basically said, yeah, give me the lifelong ban. I just thought I want a short sentence. Because I live with a guy now from Manchester, we live down south, and he was my original ecstasy supplier out of LA, DJ Mike Hot Wheels. And he only got a 5-year ban, but his 5-year ban's up. And he's made some inquiries as if he could get in, but they're still not letting him in. Yeah, there was a hand over here.
So you've obviously got a very different life now. Do people from your past have a problem occasionally?
People from the past, my life story is a trilogy, and I've had to contact everybody from the past, go over the parts in the book, and they've given me a lot more information as well, and they've had to sign legal papers saying they're not going to sue me or sue the publisher. So, fortunately, I was on good terms with nearly everybody, and yeah, well, that was fine. A lot of them are on Facebook. Some of them die every year or every couple of years because they're still involved in drugs. One died 2 weeks ago, actually, one of my friends from America. He took some Xanax and he fell over and he hit his head on like a marble countertop and just bam, just died. The guy I got my ecstasy off when I first went to America, Acid Joey, this Native American guy who's the best dancer at the raves ever. He was high and he got in his swimming pool and he drowned as well. So, you know, these are the things that I tell the school kids. There's not many older drug users out there. They're either dead or they're in prison. Yeah. Okay?
You said you met someone and you fell in love and everything like that.
Yeah.
What happened?
You want me to spoil the love story in the book? My girlfriend was visiting me. She was my lifeline, visiting me 3 times a week. And the prosecutor, she was trying to break me down psychologically because I wouldn't sign a plea bargain my whole first year. So they stopped her from visiting me by charging her with some prescription pills found in our house on the day of the SWAT team raid that didn't have written prescriptions next to them, which is a class 6 felony. Co-defendants can't visit co-defendants. So she stopped visiting me. And she was getting really stressed out, and I could hear it in her voice. And in the end, she broke up, and it was like, I committed these crimes, and I've caused her to suffer. You know, I can try and cling on to this, I've just got to let it go. And you're not supposed to cry in prison, but tears were running down. So I had to sit on the bunk and just face the wall and like pretend to read. Yeah. But we're friends on Facebook now. She's married and she's got 2 kids. Yeah. Okay, anyone else?
Do you think there's enough education over here in the UK?
Do I think there's enough drugs education?
Yeah.
No. I think my philosophy is more education and less incarceration. Teachers tell me the kids don't listen to them. You know, my drugs education was eggs frying in a pan. This is your brain on drugs. And I took ecstasy, and I couldn't stop smiling and hugging people and dancing, and it just didn't add up. So the kids don't listen to the teachers. So there's other people out, other prisoners who've come to me now, and I'm trying to encourage them. There's a guy actually I met recently, he just did his first school talk yesterday in London. I did 3 talks there as well. And his brother died from ecstasy. It was a pill that kind of pushed him over the edge because he'd already done himself in from a lot of other drugs and alcohol. And both of them were hardcore addicts, and he took this one pill and he died. So he goes in there. There's also there's a ex-undercover policeman that I'm meeting when I go back down south. He's got a book out called Good Cop, Bad War. I think some of you will be really interested in that book. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? Neil Woods. Yeah, he's a mate of mine now. When I go down there, we're going to have a strategy meeting. I'm going to try and help him get set up going in the schools as well. Because when you go in and tell them real life stories, they get on the edge of their seats, the kids. But when the teachers just go in and say, drugs are bad for your brain, this is what happens, they just start playing on, just playing on the phones and tuning out and falling asleep. So, yeah. Okay, anyone else? Yeah.
Do you not think when you give like real life stories to them, it kind of glamorizes a little bit like a lot of TV shows do? How would you teach kids about the risks of drugs?
Glamorizing versus getting the risks across, he asked about. I was very worried about that in the beginning didn't know how to present it properly. And certain teachers over the years have helped me and given me advice and feedback, and my talk has evolved. So it's at the point now where I do explain to them the drugs did start out fun for me, but here's what happens down that road. It's a very long road. You've got to be aware of what's coming at you. And you know, I've done the Pablo talk today. You guys are all adults, so perhaps some of that, you know, was kind of glamorized, but in the schools, I pitch it a lot differently. I get in there, I do my backstory, and then within about 5 to 10 minutes, you know, they're hearing about the Aryan Brotherhood getting prison gang, murdering someone by smashing his head into the floor, and all you know, all the things, possible things that could happen in prison. And that one thing that happened to me, yeah. Okay, anyone else? Colombians very quiet. Any questions? No question, Lorna?
What is your main hope for the next couple of years? Bearing in mind we know each other well. I work with children who've got mums and dads in prison, so we sort of have a common interest in helping kids for slightly different reasons. But you know, I know that you'd like to see drugs legalised for all the reasons that you've said, and to pay your parents back. But other than that, you know, what are your personal ambitions?
My personal ambitions, I just set up my own publishing company, and I'd like to publish other people's books, like true crime is what I'm specialising in right now. I've been in contact with Pablo Escobar's son, offering to publish his second book, and an ex-CIA guy as well. I've been in contact with an ex-CIA guy called Terry Reid. He's an old whistleblower. Keep doing the talks, and just you know, everything just keeps expanding for me. So one of the nice things is when I get home and I see like all the feedback from the kids on Twitter and stuff like that, and sometimes I get parents requesting to meet me. They say stuff like, "We're lucky if we get a grunt off our kid when he comes home from school. But after listening to your talk, he wouldn't shut up about it. And it was the first time we could sit down and talk to him about drugs." So I've gone from this to now I'm like a yoga practicing vegetarian. And I'm trying to restore my karma. So that's what I'm still working on, is restoring my karma. Yeah.
Do you feel guilty?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Drugs put a cloud in your head. And I just thought that I was keeping the party going. Once I got into prison, 90% shooting up heroin, crystal meth. 2/3 hepatitis C, yellow jaundice skin, teeth rotting out. To save their own lives, to get the medication, they had to quit taking the drugs. They were choosing to keep getting high and die rather than... So they were at the end of that road of drug use. It made me ashamed of putting people on the road, because once that cloud lifted, I looked back and I saw the horror of it. I thought, I can't change the past now, but I can just go out and share my story and hope others won't make my mistakes. Yeah. Yep, go for it.
What do you think as a British person, what the media show about Colombians here in the UK? And I want to tell you later why I asked you this.
I think that British people are just lied to by the mainstream media constantly. Do you have any specific portrayals of Colombians that you're referring to?
Unfortunately, thanks to this guy you talk about today,
Okay.
The image or the stereotype of Colombian people
Yeah.
is not very good. Nowadays, it's okay.
Because most Colombian people are ashamed of this, and they think he was a terrible person, and they want to put it past them, don't they?
Yeah, but most of the people here, not only British people, European people in general, they come to say, "Oh, Colombia, oh yeah, Pablo Escobar,"
Yeah.
and they don't realize how bad it was over there in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
So it's not that we are, like crying every day for this. Obviously not. But it was a hard time for us.
Yeah.
He was a criminal. He killed a lot of people.
Yeah.
We suffered, and people take us a joke.
Yeah.
That's why I ask you, what do you think?
I think that the public has a morbid fascination with the mafia and gangsters in general, not just Colombian gangsters. Like the Italian mafia, Goodfellas, Sopranos, Casino. And I can understand your frustration if people come up to you, where you're from Colombia, yeah, Pablo Escobar, high five, that kind of thing. Perhaps, you know, I think the people who have come to this side are deeper thinking than that, and they're hip to the war on drugs and American foreign policy. From what my research has led me to believe that a lot of American foreign policy is what's created that, the chaos in Colombia, flooding it with weapons, backing the right-wing politicians, backing the right-wing the guys that are killing the guerrillas and all that kind of stuff. And even, you know, even after Pablo was gone, the war continued between the north and the south, didn't it? With all the guerrillas in the south in the jungles and stuff like that. And all the people getting displaced out of the villages, and then the paramilitaries would come in. There was no end to the suffering really for the Colombian people from what I've seen.
Yeah, because there was a civil war, so it was only the narcos, you know, this other group fighting against
FARC, the
each other.
M19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the guerrillas, they got involved with the narcos as well. So they
Yeah.
were contributing to this business in some way. So it's not only about the Netflix show, it's about history that is behind that.
Yeah.
And it's a community who suffered because of this.
Yeah.
So that's why, I mean, I'm not against the show. I
Mhm.
mean, whoever wanna watch it, I've seen it as well.
Yeah.
So, but it's also to show respect for this community who has suffered as well.
Well, it's good that you're here, and you know, you've told us all this. I've got the questions recorded on my phone, so I'll put it on my YouTube channel as well. And we'll, you know, we'll use that. Yeah, thank you.
Just to end.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Is that in the 7 years I have been here in the UK, I don't want to
Okay.
Can you hear me well, right? I have lived here 7 years, and it has been an adventure, the
Yeah.
British adventure it has been a really nice experience. However, the BBC have frustrated me a lot
Yeah.
with the news they show, not because they are a lie, some of them are true. However, I think, no, I don't think they have replied to one of my emails
Yeah.
saying, you know, this is an interesting news for the British community, you have to show it.
Yeah.
So, it's the kind of media who wants to sell the best news to the society.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they are stereotyping people as well. They are stereotyping a country.
I agree with you entirely. And a lot of it is selling war, unfortunately. I mean, confidence in mainstream media now is, in America, it's down to like 10%, something like that. I think a lot of people are going on the internet, getting alternative news and researching stuff about war and drugs, and then they're realising what's going on. Fortunately, there's a growing amount of people that are waking up to it. Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Quick one about
Yeah,
that.
go for it.
Have you ever seen the Rubin Report?
Which one?
The Rubin Report.
Rubin Report, no.
Yeah, okay. I'll send you an email, but you should try
Okay.
it out on that. It's huge YouTube channel,
Really?
alternative news.
Okay.
And he promotes classical liberal politics, and he's the sort of guy that definitely.
Yeah, let's get on.
Yeah, I'll send you an email.
Just on the True Geordie podcast. Has anyone heard of that
That's
one?
already all about the other week. It was amazing. Yeah.
Oh, that was the podcast I've most enjoyed going on out of all of them, that one.
Yeah, the old one was
It's,
brilliant.
we just had a great laugh, yeah.
Just an Alan Shearer.
Yeah, I saw that. Anyone else then, before we wrap up? Anyone got anything? You got one? Come on.
Well, I know that our country has a terrible past, but I would like to invite all of you to come to Colombia because it's beautiful.
Can we stay at your house?
Of course you can. It's beautiful. We have lovely people, good energy, smiling people, not like English. Sorry, I don't want to stereotype, but it's some sun here. So I would like to invite you. It's an amazing place to
Oh,
go.
thank you.
Don't feel scared. You are not going to be killed or things like that because of narcos. No, it's different.
Narcos. Okay, I mentioned earlier about I met a pilot for the Mexican cartel in prison. He warned me, he said never ever write anything about the Mexican cartels because they're at large right now and they wouldn't think twice about sending someone to the UK to kill you. So Narcos, they've moved on from the Colombians now to the Mexicans. They sent a scout down to Mexico to find the location, and the cartel murdered the scout. Yeah, so it's dangerous business getting involved with cartels that are ongoing. You know, Pablo and Cali were back in the 1990s. Was a hand going up over there, or are you guys? No?
Have you ever come across the guy who wrote Gomorrah and 000?
Saviano?
Yeah.
I've read his books.
Yeah, because he's like under 20, he's under serious threat from the Gomorrah and the cartels now, right?
Yeah, he's got permanent bodyguards around the clock because his life's under threat. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to stop writing true crime and go over to crime fiction because I'm definitely not going to write about the Mexicans or anything like that. Crime fiction, telling stories, that's different. Yeah. Alright then guys, thanks for all your questions, and please, if you send anything for a review, I appreciate any reviews as well, Fonzie. Thank you. Oh, thanks.
Thank you very much. I'll send you an email about it.
Glad you enjoyed it. Cheers.
Is it safe to go to Colombia? Do you want to go to Colombia now? As a tourist?
I would like to go actually, yeah. I think anything can happen anywhere in the world. Oh yeah, cheers. Yeah, thanks for coming. I think anything can happen anywhere in the world at any time.
I've just told us some of my friends have just visited there. They've been to Pablo's house and everything.
Oh yeah, they're on the tour?
Yeah, they're playing.
Roberto Escobar's doing tours, isn't he?
Yeah. Been there now.
You got a question?
No, I'd like a book, please.
Which one is that?
See you now. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, nice to meet you.